Okay, I want to explain why things aren't just about Saturn, Kronos, although there's a ton of the Saturn symbolism everywhere. Well, if you look up Cronide, and that's what I call these ancient people Cronides because they came from Cronus. And Zeus has been referred to as a Cronide in these ancient books out of that Loeb library. So when you see that Saturn symbolism, I refer to it as a Cronide symbol and Cronus, but it probably also refers to this Zeus, Jupiter Sabazius cult. Now, certainly, circumcision, as I've revealed before, came from Cronus, but the god of that cult this cult of Jupiter Sabazius that the Jews have forced on everybody is Zeus. But what you have to understand in a cult, they've incorporated everything. And they have their own language and they call him an unnameable God so you don't find out the truth. Everything is coded, it's their code. And they pretty much exterminated any opposition through their inquisition and torture and writing, that you won't suffer, thou shalt not suffer a witch or any of these other religions. And then the Catholics came along and created their religion with that Emperor Constantine. Well, actually, the Romans created it and created this Catholic Church. And then the Muslims had their Muhammad at the Cave of Hira, just basically plagiarizing this cult that everybody knew was a cult and knew what it was about 2,000 years ago. Probably even 1,700 years ago, they knew what was going on. Now, as I said, they've incorporated elements of all of these ancient people in this cult. You have circumcision, which comes from Cronus. You have the jealous god, which is Zeus. You have a sacrifice of a red heifer. Now, I've talked about this in my blog. The Jews feel that periodically they have to sacrifice a red heifer and burn it and use its ashes to purify the world. But as I've revealed in my blog, this is a ritual in honor of Dionysus Osiris out of Egypt. Now, Diodorus Siculus wrote in his Library of History the following. The sacred bulls I referred to, the Apis and the Nevis, are honored like the gods, as Osiris commanded, both because of their use in farming and also because the fame of those who discovered these animals to succeeding generations for all time. Red oxen, however, may be sacrificed because it is thought that this was the color of Typhon, who plotted against Osiris and was then punished by Isis for the death of her husband. Men also, if they were of the same color as Typhon, were sacrificed. So continue on. Men also, if they were of the same color as Typhon, were sacrificed. They say in ancient times by the kings at the tomb of Osiris. However, only a few Egyptians are now found red in color, but the majority of such are non-Egyptians, and that is why the story spread among the Greeks of the slaying of foreigners by Busiris, although Busiris was not the name of the king, but the tomb of Osiris, which is called in the language of the land. So they were, red-haired and red skin tone. A lot of pale people, they have that flushing of the skin. They were killed because Set or Typhon or Prometheus, the same person, had red hair and a red tone to his skin. Now, in this Bible, it says, according to Numbers 19:2, it says, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke. The book of Numbers stipulates that the animal must be red in color without blemish, and it must not have been used to perform work. The heifer is then ritually slaughtered, Numbers 19:3, and burned outside the camp, Numbers 19:3-6. Cedar wood, hyssop, and wool dyed scarlet are added to the fire, and the remaining ashes are placed in a vessel containing pure water. Now, these Jews are looking for a red heifer to purchase because they want to do this ritual. And they've found a couple places that have a pure red heifer that they want to purchase. So I don't know if they're going to try and do it when they get this temple built or what, but this is just an element of the cult of Jupiter Sabazius or Zeus Sabazius. These people have incorporated these ancient Cronide rituals. So what you can see here is that they're doing circumcision rituals from Cronus. They're honoring only Zeus because he's a jealous god and he's singular. And they're doing sacrifice of these animals to avenge Dionysus Osiris. These people have created this cult, and it's a dualistic system. Now you have Satan, who's Prometheus, Set, Typhon, and all his other names, and Jehovah, Zeus. They created this based on the history of these people. They use their own terms, their own code. They use devious methods to insert themselves in positions of power, and they've basically thrown everybody else's knowledge down the toilet and murdered everybody off who knew what was going on. And now we are stuck in their sociopathy. And if you recall from my video on Kabbalah, these people believe that Satan has a purpose and they worship him, and they believe that to get to God, they have to go through hell. They have to go to the bottom, and they have to do like really horrible things and come up from that up into the light, from the darkness to the light. Everything is dualistic in these people's minds, and they constantly run ritual. Now, in this Golden Dawn society, which is an occult society, not the Greek thing going on, the Greek nationalists. I'm talking about the occult society. They have some symbolism I found out on the internet, and they have a symbol for what the earth was before the fall and what it looks like after. And before, it was dualistic, you female, male, but there's at the bottom several worlds, it looks like. And this serpent coiled around it. And then you see the female and the male and the pillars, and up into, it's a female up at the top with a male. You go to the right, and all of a sudden you see the symbols of Zeus up there, the bull, the man, the eagle, and the lion. And the snake is completely uncoiled. The woman is at the bottom, and the man's half gone. You have a not like a direct path to the top, but more of a zigzag. And the woman's turned to the side, and half of the man, only one of his eyes is showing, and the crown's up above it. No wings. And there's some variation in this graphic that I've seen, but the left is the fall, before the fall, and the right is after. And in the left, it's interesting, it has Metatron and Samael. So Samael is the demiurge that would be Cronus. Metatron is Enoch. Again, this is all coded with this Hebrew Jewish nonsense. We all knew what was going on. Our ancestors knew what was going on. These were tall Caucasoids, not buying this alien stuff, this gray alien reptoid nonsense. That may be a whole separate subject. But the bottom line is this whole, everything, like I said, everything I've told you about these Cronides is encoded in all your religions, your mythologies. And these Jews took the knowledge with these other cooperating priestcrafts and they hid it from the people. And they told you it was an unnameable, unknowable God, and you couldn't even pronounce his name, and just a bunch of nonsense. And they keep the knowledge for themselves and control the people. So here we are. So when people are saying it's Saturn is Satan, well, I mean, he was Cronus. He was opposed to the things Zeus wanted to do. He was going and sacrificing his children. It was a disgusting cult ritual. And they're still probably doing it out in the woods. But Prometheus is Satan. Cronus is the fallen. He's the demiurge. He's the leader of the fallen watchers. He's gone, gone from the throne. So, yes, you are going to see Saturn symbology everywhere. We are seeing it. But it could be referring to Zeus, who's called a Cronide. Anybody descended from Cronus is a Cronide, or related to Cronus is a Cronide. And the other thing is, there's a mocking of Zeus going on, because in this gigantic ritual that they're performing on all of us in this world, they have to bring us down to hell in order for them to go up to the light. So they have to bring us down to the rebellion level, where when Cronus was running the show, or when Prometheus had power. And they're going to bring us down to that complete disorder and the dualist, the symbolism of that clip-off, and the symbolism of Cronus. I wouldn't even doubt, with everything going on, that they start doing open human sacrifice at some point in this country. I think that's how bad it's going to get. If not just warfare, which is a sacrifice ritual anyway. But I just want to, so like I said, I'm just trying to point out, it's not just Saturn. It's a cult of Jupiter Sabazius, and they've incorporated all of these ancient rituals and all of the symbolism, and it's their system. It's the Jews' system. And I don't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, a Satanist, a Mormon, whatever, you're offshooting from their cult. It's their words, their language, their terms, their dualistic system, their imagery, their version of the story that you are going off of. It isn't the Greek language or the Greek words for these people or the honest story about what they were. It's not the Nordic, it's not Celtic, it's not Hindu, it's not Mesoamerican, it's not Native American, it's not Chinese, it's not Eskimos, it's not the Polynesian version. That's what you have. It's from them. It's them controlling history. It's them controlling the narrative. It's them controlling the language. It's them controlling everything. And this Hebrew is just an offshoot of Phoenician, which is related to Minoan and Greek. It's all the same. It's just their version of it. It's not exactly Phoenician. It's their modification of it, these Hebrew letters, their system. So you need to open up your mind and understand you are in this Jewish world system, all of it. And it's time to be done with it. So that's it. Thank you.